Hi guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. Today I want to talk with you about 10 different series that I would like to read that I haven't even started yet. So this list could get very extensive very quickly because there are so many books out there that I want to read that I haven't read yet, and a lot of those are part of series. But today I limited it to 10. I have a few middle grade, a few young adult, and a few adult series that I'm going to talk about. So I figured I'll start with middle grade and work my way towards adult. And the first one that I wanted to mention is The Penderwicks by Jean or Jean, I don't know, Birdsall. And this is a middle grade series that currently has 5 books in it. I don't know if it's complete or not, but currently it's sitting at 5 books, and it is about 4 sisters and just kind of their escapades that they get into. Very reminiscent to the Vanderbeekers, which I've also read. I'm thinking maybe Boxcar Children minus the mystery aspect. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in these. This might even possibly be one that I read with my kids. So yeah, either way, I definitely know I want to read that one. The next one that I want to talk about that falls into the middle grade category is the York series by Laura Ruby. This, I believe, is going to be a trilogy. Currently, there's 2 books out. The third one comes out next year. The first book is The Shadow Cipher. And this is very reminiscent to me of like National Treasure, that sort of thing. It is about these kids that are trying to find a hidden code in New York City that was put there in the early 1800s by some inventors. And so it sounded really, really intriguing. I started the audiobook during middle grade March and it didn't quite catch me, so I went ahead and picked up the print book at a thrift store, and I'm very excited to read this, but haven't even started this one yet. The next one that kind of falls into middle grade, maybe a little bit of some of them are adult. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't read them yet. And that's Anne of Green Gables. I have not ever read Anne of Green Gables. Tia from Tia and All the Books and I are in the planning stages of doing a read along for this series next year, in 2020. And so that would be very motivating to get me to finally read these. I've heard fantastic things about them. Never read them. If you're very unaware or hiding under a rock and don't know what Anne of Green Gables is about, it follows our orphan Anne, who goes to live with I think it's a brother and a sister, and it takes place on Prince Edward's Island in Canada, and it's just about her adventures up there. And so yeah, that series. Oh, there are 8 books in the Anne of Green Gables series, and Ellen Montgomery writes them. So yeah, 8 books in that one. Hopefully I will get to that in 2020. The next book that is a middle grade series that I want to read is the Artemis Fowl series by Eowyn Colfer, I believe is how you pronounce that. And there are 8 books in this series. This is about a kid genius millionaire who captures a fairy, and it ends up being a bad decision. I'm not really sure, but I know that this series has a huge following, and I've never read any of them. So this might be another one that I end up reading with my kids eventually. But I know enough about it to where I know I want to read it. I just haven't yet. So moving on to YA, the first book that I want to talk about is Timekeeper. This is the first book in the Timekeepers trilogy, I believe. I don't know if any more books are being added to this. It's by Tara Sim, and this is a fantasy or a dystopian about a world where an alternate Victorian world controlled by clock towers, where a damaged clock can fracture time and a destroyed one can completely stop it. So Spencer from Common Spence raves about this, and I ended up picking this up out of one of my kids' book orders, and I really do want to read this. I just haven't yet. So there's that one. Another YA series that I know I want to read is the Ravenspire series. There's 4 books in that series, and it is by CJ Redwine. The first book is The Shadow Queen, and these are fantasy, I believe, fairy tale retellings. And the first one is a retelling of Snow White. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Snow White. So I love fairy tale retellings. The Lunar Chronicles are some of my favorite books ever, and I really, really want to read these. It's just a matter of time. So another YA series that I know for sure I'm going to be reading, I just don't know when, is the Children of Blood and Bone is the first one. The series name is Legacy of Orisha, and it is by Tomi Adeyemi. The first book came out last year, I think. The second book is coming out soon, and I think there's going to be 3 books in this series, but I could be completely wrong. And this is based on African folklore, I believe, but it is about a group of people who have magic abilities, but they have been being suppressed for a number of years, and they decide to rise up and fight back so that they can use their magic again. I don't know, I haven't read it. So, but this is a very, very, very hyped book. It was picked for the Jimmy Fallon Book Club last summer, and yeah, I know it's super, super hyped. I know I need to read it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So those are my YA picks. Another one, and I don't know if this is YA or adult, so I don't know, and that's the Shades of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. The first book is A Darker Shade of Magic. There are 3 books in this series, and they are about like alternate universes, I guess, but there's like a red London, white London, gray London, and black London, and there's magic in one, no magic in one. One of them's like desolate, and then one of them is losing its magic maybe, or just has a little, I don't know. I have no idea, but I know the main character can travel between the Londons, and that's a rare thing. Not everybody can do that, and I know that this trilogy has a huge following as well. I just never got around to reading it, so I need to do that because I know I would love this if I actually took the time to read it. So, but yeah, I'm not sure if that's adult or YA. So if somebody can let me know, that'd be great. And then the last 2 that I want to talk about are both adult series. The first one is the Themis, I think is how you pronounce it, Files. The first book being Sleeping Giants. This is on my fall TBR. The Sleeping Giants book is. There are 3 books in this series, and it is by Sylvain Neuval. This is a sci-fi book. It's told in different interviews. And so it is about a girl who is out riding her bike one day, and she falls into this hole, and in the bottom of the hole she ends up landing in the palm of a giant hand. And then 17 years later she becomes a physicist, and all these scientists are still working on figuring out what this hand is and where it came from and why it's there. And yeah, I don't know, it sounds fantastic. I've heard brilliant things about the audiobooks, and so I will definitely be listening to these in audiobook format, and I'm very excited to get around to that. And then the last series that I want to talk about is the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon, and there are currently 8 books in this series, but I know for sure she's adding more to it. They are very lengthy. I honestly, if we're being completely honest here, don't know if I will ever get around to reading them, but they sound really fantastic to me, and I would love to at some point. I watched the first 2 episodes of the first season of the show and decided I really wanted to read the books before I watched the show. My sister is completely obsessed with the show, and so I know that it would be fantastic. It's historical, it's time travel. I'm very excited, but I just haven't found the time to sit down and read them, and they are very long books. So if you don't know, it is about our main character. I don't even remember what her name is, but she and her husband, it's post World War II, and they're like out on vacation in the countryside in Scotland, I think, and she kind of goes through this portal and gets sent back in time to like medieval, maybe time. I don't remember now. I'm making things up. But she goes back in time to like where it's castles and knights and all that, and in Scotland. And yeah, she's trying to figure out how to get back. And I think that's the premise of it, at least. I don't know much else beyond that. So, anyway. But anyway, those are 10 different series that I would love to read and have not started yet. If you have read any of these, let me know your thoughts down below. Are they worth my time? Are they adding more books to any of them? Let me know all the details, because I know nothing. I know nothing, Jon Snow. All my Game of Thrones fans will know what I mean when I say that. So anyway, yeah, other than that, what is a series that you are interested in reading but haven't started yet? I'd love to know that as well. So other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!